I'm on Nantucket for my honeymoon, and we're gonna go to 2 iconic bookstores on the island. But we're not just browsing, we got 3 challenges. Number 1, buy a book that's on my current TBR. Number 2, buy a book for my wife and I to buddy read. Number 3, buy a book by Elin Hilderbrand, the queen of beach reads, who sets like all of her books in Nantucket. So our first stop was Mitchell's Book Corner. And this place is super cool. It's right in town. Walking in, this bookstore felt both big and small. Like it kind of has a small bookstore feel to it, but it has like a few rooms and there's a whole upstairs. It's got a whole myriad of book options, which is a little fantasy sci-fi section. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna find a book on my TBR here. I mean, I knew I could find one, but I didn't have that many options to choose from. I did see a few books for my TBR in here, but I kind of knew that the next bookstore was bigger and probably had more of a variety. I also saw a ton of books that I've read and that were bangers. So I'm like, this bookstore's got taste. This bookstore's got flavor. And I saw a bunch of new releases that I was like, oh, maybe this is the book that my wife, Read It and Weep people, maybe that's the book that we're gonna read together. They also got this nice little section with a bunch of recommendations from employees. I always love that. I always love when bookstores have like the little sentence-long description from an employee. That will sell me on a book. But it didn't sell me this time. Then we moseyed our way upstairs. And there's just like this whole area dedicated to Nantucket. And there's like this shrine to Elin Hilderbrand. I honestly just found out about her recently. I was watching like a Nantucket vlog from a different booktuber whose name escapes me, but I'll put her video right here. It was a nice video. Yeah, I learned that Elin is like a legend on Nantucket. She's lived here for 30 years. She sets her books here. And from what I derived in that video, that Elin will like loosely connect characters in unrelated books that she writes. It's like her own Brandon Sanderson Cosmere, the Hilderschmear, you might say. So yeah, I felt like it was only right to start reading one of her books when I was on Nantucket, when I'm on island, when I'm on Ack, baby. I had to look up what this means. It's the airport. Anyways, in the bookstore, I was absolutely overwhelmed with options at this Elin Hilderbrand shrine. So I had to ask one of the employees which book I should read, what they would recommend for someone who has yet to read an Elin Hilderbrand book. And she gave me 3 options. 28 Summers, perhaps her most popular work. The Perfect Couple, which was recently adapted to a Netflix show that apparently actually wasn't filmed much or at all on Nantucket, even though it was set here. My wife, Sirena, actually watched the series, and she didn't really even like remember much of it, which I can't be a good sign. It's not selling me. The 5-Star Weekend, which is a newish book, and it's also being adapted to a Netflix show starring Jennifer Gardner and Regina Hall. And they apparently filmed this whole show on Nantucket, which the locals allegedly had mixed feelings about. And actually, when I was having the conversation, this guy was in there and he was like, oh yeah, they were right next to my house filming. And he didn't sound at all like that. I don't know what that accent was, but he seemed annoyed. He seemed irritated. He seemed irked. But call me Steve Urkel. Because I picked this one, to the dismay of that man. Yeah, I'm just a sucker for reading a book that I know is going to be adapted to a TV show, and I can't wait to say the book was better, even if it wasn't. And you can tell I actually started reading it already. It's been about 3 days since we went to the actual bookstores, and I'm really enjoying this book. Elin Hilderbrand is known as like the queen of beach reads, and I can totally see why. It is so easy to read. I thought going in it was going to be like a thriller or a psychological thriller, but it's more of like a contemporary fiction book, mystery, drama. But yeah, something about the writing, it just kind of flows off the pages and I'm like reading at warp speed. I'm literally like this, reading every night. I read that much in 3 minutes. One other thing I want to mention is that she like mentioned stores and restaurants around Nantucket in this book. So as Sirena and I are exploring, we've like gone to some of the restaurants she's talked about, or we've heard about a beach or something that she's mentioned. So it's cool. It almost reminds me of like watching Entourage and seeing one of your favorite celebrities pop up in the show. But yeah, let me tell you about let me give you the summary of the book. A food blogger decides to host a getaway on Nantucket after her husband's sudden death. She brings together 4 women from different parts of her life, childhood, 20s, 30s, and midlife, for what's supposed to be a fun, healing weekend. But with that mix of personalities and shared history, things don't go exactly as planned. Are you hooked? I can see you right now like a bluefish tuna on the shore of Nantucket because you're hooked. $20, buy a Elin Hilderbrand book. Check. And that's all we got at Mitchell's Book Corner. And so we moseyed on down the road to Nantucket Book Works. So this bookstore was sweet. It was substantially bigger than Mitchell's Book Corner. And it had a bunch of like cards, knickknacks, bookmarks. I don't know. They had other things aside from books. But they sure did have a lot of books. Yeah, this is one of those bookstores you can just get lost in. And if you're traveling with little kids, they have this cool children's room that I would have loved as a kid if I'd read any other book aside from Captain Underpants or Artemis Fowl. Anyways, I still had 2 challenges left to complete this mission. Had to find a book on my TBR and had to find a book that Sirena and I can buddy read. So finding the book on my TBR was actually pretty easy. I just strolled on over to the fantasy sci-fi section. It wasn't huge, but it was a little bit bigger than Mitchell's book corner. Had a bunch of covers that I've recognized and that I've pondered reading. I'm talking about The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I'm talking about the Silo series, Wool. I'm talking about The Lies of Locke Lamora. I've been this close to buying that book about 5 times. Make it 6 times because I didn't buy it. The 3-Body Problem. Again, that's another one that I'm so close to buying and I never do. So this bookstore also has like a whole Nantucket section. Not as big. It's not as dedicated, but it's there. It's there nonetheless. Plenty of Elin Hilderbrand books that you can choose from, but no Shrine that I could see. I don't know if Shrine is the right word. I think you know what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, I got Shadow of the Gods, finally, by John Gwynne. Yeah, I'm amped up about it. It is a chunker, though. Look at that. Oh, wow. It's only 468 pages. Something only fantasy readers would say out loud. But this looks, am I crazy? That looks way bigger than less than 500 pages. So this is an epic Norse-inspired fantasy set in a world rebuilt after gods destroyed each other in a brutal war. Now, their descendants, humans with a little bit of divine power, struggle for survival amid monsters, magic, and vengeance. The story follows 3 warriors on separate paths that slowly intertwine in a world where glory comes at a deadly price. So this book has been on my TBR for a minute. I know I'm gonna like it. I'm a huge Greek mythology guy. I know this is Norse mythology, but that's kind of like Greek mythology adjacent. The cover looks sweet. That's a giant dragon, I believe, and a little dude right there trying to fight it. Reminds me of handling Kratos versus the Hydra. I've heard these are super fast paced. In my head, I'm thinking this is gonna read similar to The Rage of Dragons, but that might just be because it texturally feels similar to it. John Gwynne's sons have a YouTube account, actually, talking books. So they're called the Brothers Gwynne. I'll put them up right there. Give them a follow and let me know if I should read this and maybe discuss. Maybe I will have a little discussion with the Brothers Gwynne. A little discuss Gwynne. Buy a book on my TBR. Check mate. So that leaves us with one more challenge. Find a book that Sirena and I can buddy read together. The thing about Sirena is that she's a huge thriller girly, as you will. She doesn't like scary stuff, but she loves a little eerie feeling, you know, when she's watching a show. She's reading The Housemaid right now, and she's enjoying it. So naturally, we were looking for something else by Frida McFadden. One of her friends, Kayla, actually recommended a book called Never Lie, and they should rename it Never Find, because we couldn't find it at either of these bookstores. They did, however, have this Housemaid sequel, which we were debating on getting. I don't know. It just, that wasn't getting our juices flowing as much to read that one. I think it's a different character than the first one, but it, you know, I feel like it's maybe too similar. We wanted something same, but different. So we did ask an employee at this store for a recommendation that would be in the same vein as The Housemaid. And she gave us the recommendation of reading The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. But Surrender at the back of the book, and that wasn't really hitting. It wasn't calling to us. So we almost just went back and be like, oh, I guess we'll get like the second Housemaid. That's fine. But then the employee came over again and she was like,
what, you didn't like my book, Jack?
No, she was super nice. Gave us another book recommendation that she said would be a great book to read together because it's like a conversation starter. It's a good book for discussion. She said she just finished reading it actually, and she went straight to Reddit, and people on the Reddit thread had different opinions on the end of the book than she did. And so it was a lot of discourse. And what is marriage but a good old discourse? So we were thinking maybe we'll get that. But then I saw the book We Used to Live Here, which I actually just listed as one of the books I wanted to read for the fall. It's supposed to be a spooky book about a couple who buys a house to flip it, and then one day a whole family comes to the door saying that they used to live here, and they're just like creepy as hell. So it's like a thriller horror kind of book, but we figured we should trust the pros, and so we went with the recommendation. A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. This is a slender 280 pages, and Stephen King said it scared the living hell out of him, and he's pretty hard to scare. So this book is like a psychological thriller horror that follows a family whose teenage daughter begins showing signs of severe mental illness, or possibly demonic possession. As their situation spirals, a reality TV crew documents the family's every move, blurring the line between truth, performance, and horror. And years later, the younger sister recounts what really happened, leaving you questioning, what was real all along? Is this book real? Does it even exist? Yeah, no, it's right here. Buy a book to buddy read with my wife. Check. But before you go, let's get Serena's thoughts. Excuse me. Thoughts on A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay.
I haven't read it. All I heard you say over there was that I don't like scary things. That's all I like. Horror and blood. Demons and witches. Seances. Exorcisms. I like psychological thrillers, and I think that's what this book is.
Are you excited to read it with me?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound that exciting.
What do I look like right now?
Hot. Howie.
We're sleeping.
That's the hall.
If you've read these books, let me know if you liked them, if you didn't like them. Serena's like the aunt and uncle in Willy Wonka in bed. Yeah, let us know what you thought. We'd love some good discourse. Love some good discourse in the comments about A Head Full of Ghosts, The 5-Star Summer, The Shadow of the Gods.